live button before I was ready to go live. There we go. Perfect. Good. Hey, so as a parent, do you ever think, why is my child not acting his age? So you could be at the shopping mall and your child's been doing well, and then all of a sudden they have like a tantrum and they literally are acting like a 2-year-old. Well, that's what we're going to talk about tonight on Post Daily Dose. Good evening, Facebook. Welcome to another episode of Post Daily Dose. With me, your trusted parenting advisor, faithful guidance servant on the healing journey. What's my name? Big Papa Brian+Post. This evening, we're going to get right into this fine Friday. I'm going to twist my little dreads. See, this is how I create my dreads. I got some loose hair there. I'm going to twist that up, tighten that all the way down. That way it doesn't look quite like a horn popping out of my head. It kind of does. Emotional regression. I've talked about this before. When your child is acting out, it's because they are stressed out, because they are regressed. What I haven't talked about is that when your child regresses emotionally, it is emotional. It's an emotional experience. It's connected to their brainstem. There's cognitive, there's chronological, and there's emotional age. So your cognitive is how smart your child is, your chronological is how old your child is, and your emotional age is where they're at in their emotional development. Now, ideally, those three ages are going to be all congruent. Sometimes one's a little higher than another, and time and experiences help to balance us out. But when you've experienced a great deal of trauma, what oftentimes happens is you become emotionally, developmentally arrested. So whatever age, hey, good evening, Ashley, whatever age the trauma occurs in your life, it creates a developmental barrier to your future, to your ongoing developmental progress. Hey, Mom. And so what happens is you continue to grow older, but when you get stressed, every time you get stressed, you revert back to that developmental age. That's why you can be having a good time with your 12-year-old child, and then some trigger occurs, but it's not just a trigger. I want to help you understand that too. It's not just a trigger that occurs, because a lot of times it's that they're doing well because they're using their window of tolerance, and their window of tolerance starts to get smaller and smaller for how much stress they can handle. And then when that happens, there's a final little trigger, and the trigger is really the stick that breaks the camel's back. But the reality is the camel's been carrying a ton, all along. And so your child regresses, and then he starts acting, like a 2-year-old. There's research. Alan Shore did some research. I feel like this camera's right up in my face. Alan Shore did some research cited some research in his book, Affect Regulation and the Origin of the Self, that some adults in times of stress have the ability to revert to infancy. Right? Some adults in the times of stress have the ability to revert to infancy. We all do regress when we become stressed at that deeper brainstem level, because we move back to our emotional comfort zones. And I know there are times as an adult when I have both felt like and behaved like a baby. I mean, like an infant. And definitely like a mad, frustrated 2-year-old. So it happens. And so here's the thing that I want to express. Hey, Lala, here's the thing that I want to express to you this evening is when your child regresses, that is actually the best opportunity for you to create healing for them. They're giving you a window into their brain and their pain, ultimately their trauma, to go back and repair. So that's why when children are in the midst of severe behaviors, that's actually the best time to intervene and to work with their brain. It's the best time for you to be positive and loving and understanding and supportive, or firm and setting limits and containing, emotionally containing, however that may look, because in that moment, their brainstem is open. And their brainstem is vulnerable in that moment. And that's why they're giving you so much shit, because all of the shit literally is being stirred up because of the stress that they're under in that moment. So you get access to all the trauma. And so however you respond to your child when they are misbehaving in that escalated state is what their brainstem stores. I'm going to say that again. However you are responding to your child And this is the difference between you being outside of the parenting matrix with me versus being inside of the parenting matrix. Because most parents, especially parents inside the parenting matrix, when their children are in a state of dysregulation, when their children are in a state of behavioral acting out, and their child's brainstem is open and available, what they're doing is they're reactive parenting. They're creating more stress. They're creating more fear. They're creating more shame. And it's just like an oyster shell, like a clamshell, that all those experiences go in, and that clamshell clams up, and that's the brainstem. The brainstem is just like a clamshell. The child gets super stressed out. The clamshell opens up. However, the adult handles the child in that moment is what they're putting in that brainstem on top of all that other stuff. And then the child clamps down again, and that's what they set with. So when Bruce Perry says the brain always returns to the way the event was handled the last time, what he's essentially saying is that when an event occurs again, a similar event, a stressful event, the brainstem opens up, and guess what's on top? What's on top is how the experience was handled the last time. That's why it's so important that when your children are right in the middle of their behavioral acting out, which is a regress state, it's so important. Listen to me on this. It is so important that you meet them at the emotional age. See, all of the inside the matrix parenting is about meeting a child at their cognitive age or their chronological age. Parenting inside of the matrix has really very little to do with meeting the child at the emotional age. So when the child is acting out, it is imperative. It is imperative that you meet the child at the emotional age. Respond to the child like you were responding to a child at that emotional age. If your teenager is acting like he is 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, engage him like he was 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. That's when you're going to create an emotional breakthrough. That's when you're going to plant healing experiences in your child's brain that they're going to return to the next time. So when your child regresses, meet them at the emotional age. I'm going to let you think on that. It's Friday night. I'm going to let you get back to your families. I'm going to expound on that a little bit later in another episode because I think it requires a lot of attention. It's so important, and I apologize I haven't talked to you more about it. But when your child is stressed and regressed, that's where you got to meet them, at that emotional age. So start paying attention to that. So enjoy your Friday evening, everyone. Big Papa loves you. I hope you have a wonderful night's sleep. I hope you wake up in the morning re-energized, restored, refreshed, and ready for a fantastic and relaxing Saturday. Big Papa loves you, and I'll talk to you soon.